A realistic diplomatic scene of Jaishankar standing at a podium, microphone in front, his expression firm and composed as dozens of photographers' flashes light the room. Every detail in sharp focus, cinematic realism, 8K ultra-high resolution. When the storm roars and the waves threaten to swallow you, stand taller. This is not a suggestion. It is the quiet command of survival that every warrior of life has heard in the marrow of their bones. The world is not always a gentle river. Sometimes it is a hurricane that strips away the leaves of your comfort, shakes the very roots of your certainty, and threatens to pull you under. But you, my friend, are not made of paper. You are the oak that has seen 1,000 winters and still reaches for the sun. You are the mountain that wears the weight of snow yet does not bow. Standing tall in the face of chaos is not arrogance. It is the acknowledgement that storms may touch your skin, but they cannot touch your soul unless you grant them permission. When you stand tall, you tell the world that your dignity is not for sale. You are not here to please every breeze or accommodate every gust. You are here to plant your feet in the soil of your beliefs, to let your spine be the mast that sails you through the tempests. Those who bend too quickly to every pressure lose the shape of who they are. And without shape, without center, one becomes a shadow in the wind, seen for a moment, forgotten in the next. But those who refuse to shrink, those who lift their chin in the face of intimidation, become something far greater than themselves. They become a symbol, and symbols outlive storms. Standing taller does not mean the absence of fear. It means holding your posture despite fear's whisper in your ear. Courage is not the absence of trembling. It is the refusal to let trembling decide your actions. A storm may knock at your door with fists of thunder, but when you open it and stand without flinching, the storm begins to remember it is only a visitor. It is not your master. Think of the great leaders, the bold thinkers, the mothers who defended their children, the fathers who refused to be broken by poverty, the dreamers who would not hand over their visions to cynics. They all knew the secret. The storm's greatest victory is not in breaking your body, but in bending your will. So they guarded that will as they would guard a treasure chest filled with the rarest jewels. You have that same chest, and its lock is the strength of your stand. The world will test you. It will throw at you the voices that say you are too small, too weak, too unworthy. These voices come like waves over and over, hoping to wear down the cliffs of your confidence. But a cliff does not beg the sea to be gentle. It simply stands, not with pride that shouts, but with pride that breathes. I was here before you, and I will be here after. Do not be fooled into thinking that standing tall means you will not get wet, will not get bruised, will not feel the ache in your muscles. It means that you choose the ache over the surrender. It means you understand that dignity is not comfort. It is the quiet reward for refusing to bend where bending would mean breaking your truth. In that posture, you are more than one person against the storm. You are every soul who ever chose to stand rather than vanish, every voice that ever rose rather than fell silent, every flame that ever burned despite the wind's desire to snuff it out. Your voice is not a whisper meant for shadows. It is a trumpet meant for mountains. The world may have taught you to hush, to tuck your words neatly away where they will not disturb the comfort of others. But the truth is, your voice was never meant to live in a box. It was meant to echo, to travel beyond the valleys of fear and into the open skies where truth takes flight. There will be those who will tell you that your voice is too loud, too sharp, too unsettling. But understand this, every voice that ever moved mountains first unsettled the ground beneath them. When you own your voice, you claim your birthright. You stop waiting for permission slips signed by society, by tradition, or by those who are too afraid to speak themselves. A voice is a living thing. If you feed it courage, it will grow strong. If you feed it silence born of fear, it will shrink until even you forget the sound of it. And once you forget the sound of your own truth, you begin to live in someone else's story. Speaking with conviction is not about volume, it is about clarity. The quietest voice, if filled with truth, can carry farther than the loudest shout without substance. When you let your voice stand as the unshaken messenger of what you believe, it does not matter how many storms try to drown it. The rain cannot erase the mountain's outline, and noise cannot erase the tone of truth. Speak as if your words are seeds and understand that some will fall on stone, but others will fall into fertile soil and grow into forest you may never see. That is the beauty of a true voice. It works beyond your sight, beyond your lifetime. But speaking your truth is an act of courage, because the moment you lift your voice, you become visible. And visibility invites challenge. Some will test your words to find cracks. Some will mock them to shrink you back into silence. This is where many fall quiet, not because they lack something to say, but because they fear the weight of being heard. Yet to fear being heard is to trade the fullness of living for the half-life of invisibility. Your voice is not just for you. It is for those who cannot speak yet, for those who spoke and were crushed, for those who will come after you and search for proof that someone once dared to say what they feel in their bones. Every time you choose to speak despite trembling, you place a stone in the path for someone else to follow, and one day they will walk it with more certainty because you had the courage to lay it down. Do not confuse silence with peace. Silence can be a slow erosion of your spirit, a quiet surrender dressed in politeness. True peace comes when you have said what needed to be said, when you have emptied your truth into the air and let it stand for itself. Whether the world accepts or rejects it is beyond your control. But the act of speaking frees you from the chains of what if. When you speak with conviction, fear may tremble in your chest, but it will learn its place. And in that moment your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes an anchor, a torch, a bridge. It becomes the thing that calls others out of the shadows and into the light, where they too will find the courage to let their truth ring like a trumpet across the mountains. When you know your name, no one can rename you. There is a strength that comes from deep self-knowledge, a kind that cannot be borrowed, bought, or gifted. It must be built, brick by brick, through living and through listening to the quiet voice inside you that never lies. The world will try to tell you who you are. It will hand you labels like currency, each one stamped with its own expectation. Some will sound flattering, others will sting, but all of them have the same purpose: to make you smaller than the truth of yourself. And yet, if you have done the work to know your name, your true name, these labels slide off like rain on stone. Your worth is not up for negotiation. The day you accept someone else's valuation of you is the day you give them the keys to your soul. They will price you according to their own fears, their own limitations, their own narrow view of the world. One day they will tell you that you are worth everything. The next they will tell you that you are worth nothing at all. But when you know your worth, their shifting opinions lose their power. You become unshakable, like a mountain that does not rise or fall, according to the moods of the weather. Knowing who you are is a lifelong discipline. It is not about arrogance, it is about alignment. When your steps match your core values, when your choices reflect your deepest truths, when your dreams are shaped by your own heart instead of someone else's hands, you live in freedom. Without that knowledge, you drift like a ship without a compass, vulnerable to every tide that wants to carry you somewhere you never meant to go. And if you drift long enough, you may forget that you ever had a destination of your own. This kind of identity is not built in comfort. It is tested in difficulty. It is forged in moments when you must decide whether to follow the crowd or stand alone. Sometimes standing alone will feel like exile, but it is in that solitude that your voice grows clear and your reflection sharpens. The people who know themselves are often misunderstood because the world does not easily accept those who refuse to play its game. But those are also the people who shape history, not because they sought to please, but because they refused to be erased. When you know yourself, you can walk into any room, any country, any conflict, and remain whole. You can listen without being swayed, engage without losing ground. You can adapt without disappearing. This is not stubbornness, it is sovereignty. It is the quiet power of belonging, first and foremost to yourself. And in a world where so many live as mirrors, reflecting back whatever others want to see, there is something revolutionary about being a flame. Consistent, steady, impossible to replicate. Do not let the noise confuse you. Do not let the labels define you. The world's definitions are temporary, but your truth is eternal. A name rooted in truth is a fortress against them. To speak against giants and still hold your grace is a rare kind of strength. Anyone can shout when anger is burning hot in the chest. Anyone can swing wild when they feel cornered. But it takes a steady hand and a steady heart to face power and not let your dignity slip away. The world often mistakes rage for courage, but rage without wisdom is just noise that fades in the wind. True strength is measured not by the volume of your voice, but by the depth of your words and the steadiness of your spirit when the stakes are high. Grace in disagreement is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the art of refusing to let your opponent write your tone, even when they provoke you. There is a quiet defiance in speaking truth without spitting venom, in standing your ground without grinding your fists. Giants expect you to tremble, to stutter, to lose your composure so they can point and say, "See, they are not ready. They cannot be taken serious." But when you look them in the eye, speak in the calm rhythm of conviction, and deliver your truth with the precision of a blade honed by wisdom, you disarm them without ever raising your voice. Holding grace under pressure is an act of discipline. It is the ability to feel the fire inside you and still shape it into light rather than letting it burn uncontrolled. It means you understand that the goal is not simply to win the argument. It is to leave the kind of mark that cannot be erased by time or temper. Words spoken in anger may sting for a moment, but words spoken with grace sink deeper. They do not just challenge the ear, they challenge the conscience. There will be times when you are pushed to the edge, when the easiest thing to do would be to let frustration spill over, to match insult with insult, heat with heat. But grace asks you to pause, to breathe, to choose a higher ground, not because you fear the fight, but because you understand that the highest form of victory is one that leaves you untainted. You cannot preach integrity with a mouth full of spite. Think of the leaders who shaped history not through the force of their fists, but through the force of their composure. Their calm in the face of provocation was not passivity. It was power. They knew that the most dangerous person in any room is the one who will not be dragged into a battle of tempers. Giants, no matter how towering, lose their advantage when they cannot provoke you into abandoning your principle. Grace is not silence. It is not retreat. It is not the absence of power. It is power refined. It is choosing the scalpel over the hammer, precision over chaos. It is the confidence that comes from knowing your truth so deeply that you don't need to scream it to make it heard. And in a world where many believe that shouting the loudest is the same as winning, the quiet, unwavering voice can be the one that shifts the ground beneath their feet. When you walk away from a confrontation with your dignity intact, you carry a victory that cannot be taken back. You will be remembered not just for what you said, but for how you said it. Like a steady flame that neither wind nor storm could put out. A reminder that grace is not the absence of strength, but its highest expression. The hands that try to take what you have will never stop unless you tell them, "This is mine." Life has a way of testing the boundaries you set, and the world has a way of pushing further each time you yield. Your heritage, your land, your dreams, they are not simply possessions. They are parts of you, pieces of your soul, carved through generations, through struggle, through sacrifice. To lose them carelessly is to lose a part of yourself that may never be recovered. That is why protection is not just a duty, it is an act of love. There will always be those who believe they have a claim on what you have built. Some will take by force, others by deception. And still others will try to convince you that surrendering is in your best interest. They will dress their greed in fine words, cooperation, compromise, mutual benefit, hoping you will not see the truth beneath the surface. But love that is fierce sees clearly. It knows that there is a difference between sharing and being robbed, between partnership and possession. To protect what is yours, you must first understand its worth. Too many give away their treasures because they have been told they are ordinary. They sell their land for promises that vanish in the wind. They silence their dreams because someone with a louder voice told them they were impossible. They hand over their identity piece by piece until they no longer recognize themselves. But when you see the true value of what you hold, when you understand that your heritage is written in the blood and sweat of those before you, You will defend it with a strength you didn't know you had. Protection is not about building walls so high that nothing can enter. It is about standing guard at the gate, discerning what should be welcomed and what should be turned away. Love does not mean naivety. Love does not mean saying yes to every request, every demand, every hand that reaches out. Love is discerning enough to say no, this does not belong to you, and strong enough to hold that line. There will be times when defending what is yours will not be easy. You may be outnumbered, underestimated, or misunderstood. Some will call you stubborn, others will call you selfish. But remember, those who benefit from your silence will always label your resistance as arrogance. Let them talk, let them point. Your responsibility is not to please those who seek to take from you, it is to preserve the legacy entrusted to you. Protecting what is yours is not only about keeping it safe, it is about keeping it alive. Your dreams are living things. If neglected, they will wither. Your culture, your language, your values, if not guarded, they can be swallowed by forces that seek to erase them. To defend them is not an act of hostility, it is an act of preservation. You are a steward of what you've been given, and your stewardship is proof of respect for those who came before you, and for those who will come after. When you stand firm and declare, "This is mine," you are not closing yourself off from the world. You are simply refusing to be erased from it. You are saying that your place, your voice, your dreams have earned their right to exist, and you will not hand them over to those who see them only as prizes to be claimed. And in that stance, unshaken, unafraid, you become more than a defender of what is yours. You become a guardian of the truth that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost.